Hi guys, that's my first tutorial for Maya. So today we're going to talk about some of basics. So I have opened Maya. This is the default scene. And I have here the channel box and the layer editor. It's here. And I also have some shortcuts here. So let's try some of basics, some of Maya tools basics. So let's begin. We have here a lot of tools. We have the cursor, where you can make a box select any objects in number of objects you want. And here is a freehand lasso, so you can select any of the region you want. And let's leave this for the next time. And we have here the move tool. If you want to move any object, and the rotate tool and scale tool. So you have a shortcut for each one of them. So for the cursor, you have the Q shortcut. If you press Q, you can select it. And for the move tool, you have W. And rotate, it's E. For scale, it's R. So let's go back to the cursor and make a normal polygon. So let's make a polygon normative cube. So this is wireframe mode. You can change it from here. This is wireframe mode. You can make it small schedule. And then you can dolly in or zoom in. So if you have a normal mouse, you should press Alt with the right mouse button. So go to right to dolly in, left, dolly out, right, dolly in. So let's just dolly in for now. And let's try the move tool. So these are the indicators, and you can press on them to remove the object. So you have here your main indicator. So you have the y-axis, x-axis, and z-axis. If you notice here, the y-axis is colored green here. It's also here colored green, and x-axis is red here, so it's also red there. And the z-axis, it's also blue there. So let's try the y-axis. Well, you can press on the arrow, so I can move it up and down, up and down. So if you look at here, you can notice the number of the translate on y-axis. So now it's 0.318. And if you want to make it go down the grid, so you have to type negative. So let's try to type negative. So now it's down the grid. So up is positive, down is negative. Let's make it go back to 0. And let's try the z-axis. It's like left and right, right and left. So it's also appear here, the values that translate. So here it's 0.467, and here it's negative 2.3. So let's make it go back to 0. And the x-axis is red, so let's just press the arrow. Also, if you notice there in the channel box, it's changed. So let's make it go back to 0. Well, you can now dolly out and type any value you want. So let's try 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. So it's also the same because it's in centimeter unit, but if we type here 0, 0, so the x-axis it's just in 1 unit, 5 units. We can type an exact value like 3.5 or 3.555. So this is more accurate. And so, well, this called the grid. Let's just dolly out for now. Or by clicking the view cube, just click on home button. So you're going to the home view. So this called the grid. You can make it appear from here or disappear. This is a shortcut. So here it's disappeared, appeared here if you also clicked again. And you have here units. So 1 unit equals 1 centimeters. Well, it's the default unit by Maya. If you want to change it, so go to Window, Settings, Preferences, and go to Settings. So here in the working units, the line here, change it to centimeters. It's already centimeter. You have millimeter, meter, an inch, foot, yard, and click save. So I'm gonna keep it. So we have here the rotate tool. If you click on the E button on your keyboard, you're gonna have it. Well, you also here have the indicators, and you have here the main indicators. So y-axis is the green. Here it's a bit different. So the y-axis is the green here, so it's also a green one here. So you can rotate it to the y-axis. So here in the Shamel box you have the rotate on y, z, and x. So here in y, you can rotate it. And also you can type an exact value here, like 90 degrees. So 30. Let's make it back to 0. And here, the z-axis is the blue one. So you can press on the indicator, go down and up. If you notice here, it changed. So let's make it go back to 0. And the x-axis, well, check it's actually the up and down. So you can move it up and down. It's here also in the channel box. So let's make it go back to 0. So this is a rotate tool. Let's try the scale tool. Well, you can press R in your keyboard or click on it. So I'm gonna just press R. It's the shortcut. Here you have the indicators and the main indicator. Well, it's actually a row. So in the channel box, it's here in the scale X, scale Y, and scale Z. So this is scale it on the Y axis. So if you go up, you scale it more, and if you go down, you scale it down. So let's try to scale it up the Y axis. So if you noticed here, it changed to 3.09. So let's make it go to 1. So 1 is the default, or if you type 0, it gotta be a plane, so it's 2D. So we want a 3D object, so just make it 1. And you have here The red one is the x-axis, so you can scale it with the x-axis up and down, or the other side. So it's here the scale x. So let's make it back to 0. No, sorry, it's the plane. To make a plane, so make 1. And we have the z-axis is the blue one. So it's also here scale z. So now it's 0.728. So let's make it back to 0. So now 1. I'm sorry. And you can scale here the whole axis of the y-axis, z, and x-axis. So from Gandolian, from this little box here, this is the center. So just click it. If you move outwards, so you scale. So just you scale it up. So let's scale it up and scale it down. So if you notice here, the value, it's the same value. So if you want to scale it all back to 0, so you have to click and then grab down until you reach on the Z, then release the button of the mouse, then tap 0. So let's start again. Well, you have the undo button, it's Control Z. So let's do it again. 1. So let's choose it again. You can make a box. You can choose it by the box and by clicking on it. So here you have the visibility. So if you want to make it visible, so it's already on. If you make it invisible, so type off. O-double-F. So now it's not visible. Let's make it visible by tabbing on. So thanks for watching and see you in the next tutorial.